Welcome, vibrant souls, to module 5, Thriving Hormones, Fall Edition. Today, we are talking about sacred lifestyle. And there's a lot that comes under this umbrella, shall we say. But before we get started, let's just take a moment and let's just ground in and make sure we're fully present. So if it's safe for you to do so, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and just close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths down as far as you can towards your belly, if not all the way into your belly there, and just kind of notice your breath. And as you're noticing your breath, just be fully present with your body. Notice any sensations, notice anything that it's feeling, any little twinges, any little messages. Do you need to make any little adjustments in the way you're sitting, your positioning? Is your spine compressed or is it relaxed? And just breathing into any spaces that feel a little bit tight and just sending some love. Becoming aware of the space that you're in, that your body is occupying, and expanding that out beyond the room that you're in, the space that you're in, and all the way out into this beautiful virtual circle that we are here today. All of us coming together now, present on this live, as well as those that are watching this at a later time. We are all here together in this frequency, and just visualize yourself standing in a circle and holding hands with the woman beside you, the sister beside you. And all just breathing together and acknowledging and witnessing each other and feeling each other's love and presence. This is a safe space that we are creating here, where you can just drop those walls and be fully present. Just feel into that. And as we create this larger circle, we slowly come back to the present space that we're in as well too, while still holding that space. And recognize that we are here right now in this moment on this live all together, about to learn more about sacred lifestyle. Just take another breath or two. Come back into your physical body. Open your eyes when it feels right for yourself. And take a sip of water if you have some and just ground in. Okay. Sacred lifestyle. What is that? There's a lot of things that come under this umbrella, like I said. And so I gave a little definition in our handout here today, which describes it as our environments, all of our environments and habits, either that support us to thrive or put stress on our health, both mentally as well as physically. And so a lot of the information that is in your handout and that we're going to be talking about here today is directly excerpted from my book, The Live Vibrantly 10 Steps. Yeah, this one right here. So this is in the first part of the book. We've been going through talking about the food combining and the I Live Vibrantly way, the vibrant nutrition, and now we're moving into the sacred lifestyle part of the book here. And so I'd like to kind of just walk you through a little bit of an exercise that I have in the book. So I'm just going to actually kind of read it just to get started today. So it says, you just woke up. You get up and you head to the bathroom to start getting ready for your day. If you don't have a whole house filtration system, do you use filters on your shower? What toothpaste do you use?
What skincare? Hair care? Are there chemicals in these? Would you eat it? If not, you shouldn't be using it. Your skin is your largest organ and absorbs everything directly into your bloodstream. Is your toilet paper earth-friendly, or is it transferring microplastics and toxic chemicals to you? Look at everything else you have and use in your bathroom and ask these same questions. Would you eat it? Is it toxic? And is it earth-friendly? Now we head into the kitchen and we're going to do the same thing and ask the same questions. Look around. Really see what products you have and use in your kitchen for cleaning, to prepare food, to store food. Are there Teflon products, plastics, and other chemical leaching items? What kind of dish soap do you use? Are your paper products earth-friendly and chemical-free? Do you have a water filter on your sink if you don't have an entire house filtration system? So I think you're starting to get the idea. This is a noticing exercise. Don't panic about what you notice. Don't berate yourself. There's no guilt involved here. This is just truly a noticing exercise and a first step so that you become aware, because a lot of times we have just kind of become very almost zombie-like in our habits and in the way we do things, right? We just purchase the same product, use it the same way, and just keep on going. And we don't really think about it. So this is just an invitation to be able to interrupt that kind of habitual non-presence flow and actually look at, oh, you know, what am I doing and how is it serving me and how is it benefiting me and my family, as well as the earth as well too, and our planet, our dear Earth Mother. And so the first thing is to, you know, kind of look at all of these things, start to notice, and then start to think about, you know, what choices could we make to be able to support Live Vibrantly? And then research and look for things to be able to replace those items that you're wanting to replace. And, you know, it's not like you're just going to run out and dump everything and buy everything, you know, from new and start all over again. You know, use up what you have, you know, if that feels right for you. If you do have deeper health challenges, such as autoimmune or chronic pain, or other deeper issues going on, just know that, you know, if you are using, you know, chemical dish soaps and cleaning supplies and things like that, it could be exasperating how you're feeling as well too. So use your own judgment, use your own intuition, do what feels best for you. And start with the things that you feel are the most important, right? So what are the things that we are breathing, inhaling, and then putting on our skin? Those would be the things that I would suggest looking at first. And I always recommend the water as the first line to look at too. If you are in the city and you are on city water, this is one of the most toxic things in your house. And it is affecting you whether you think it is or not. And so if you don't have even a whole house system, do you have a filtration system on your kitchen sink? Do you have one on your shower? You know, I know a lot of people who have one on their kitchen sink, but then there's nothing in the bathroom. And the thing that many people don't realize is that when you're actually taking a hot shower and you have chlorine coming through that, you are actually turning it into a noxious gas, inhaling that, and it is poisoning you. And this is why a lot of women have thyroid issues. This really contributes to a lot of thyroid issues and imbalance, as well as Hashimoto's and a lot of these autoimmune thyroid, you know, challenges and labels that are given out these days. So we have Robin, who is on here with us live today. She had introduced me to an incredible water system. And she is, at my request, posted it up in our group, in the Facebook group. So go ahead, take a look at that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to her. She's happy to answer any questions and guide you along. This system, I love. It's available in Canada as well as the US, because I know we have mixed countries involved here in the group and represented. So this is a system, and this is you know, something that can support everybody no matter where you're at, US or Canada. And the pricing is so reasonable. And I'm just so impressed with this whole system, which is why I keep referring back to it. It is right now the most awesome one that is on my radar. So, and we just happen to have Robin who represents it. So I'm directing you to her. Okay, so next, let's take a look at the space, you know, that you are living in. How does it make you feel? Is it clean? Is it moldy? You know, a lot of people don't realize that they actually have a mold issue in their home until it becomes like a really dire situation. So it's really important to just frequently check and look around your space. I believe these days you can get really inexpensive little monitors that can check your EMF levels for you, that can check your mold levels for you. And if anybody has a recommendation for that type of device, please go ahead and post it in the comments once we get the replay up in the Facebook group. And if you have anything that contributes to any of this conversation here today and you're listening to the replay, please go ahead and post that in the chat so we can start. I'm building out a resources list. So if you have things that you use or that you recommend, go ahead and post it in there and I'll check it out. And also we'll add that to like the master resource list that we are creating. Oh, good. Robin, let her in. Thank you. Hi, Josiah. Welcome. Okay, so is your space cluttered? Is it overflowing with stuff? Is it disorganized? Is it dark? You know, your space is a reflection of you. And if you want to live vibrantly, then your space needs to reflect that as well. So many of us, and you know, self included, we just end up building up stuff without even realizing it half the time. And then all of a sudden we look around and we're like, oh my God, like there's so much stuff everywhere. How did that happen? And so I really want to encourage, you know, everybody who's here today and listening later, just really non-critically, no judgment, just notice with curiosity how much stuff you have compiled over time. And then really ask yourself the question, how much of this do I really need? How much of it is serving me to live a vibrant life? How much of it is supporting my health at that high frequency? And this is the thing, you know, so many people are like, oh, I can live in a cluttered space and it doesn't bother me. But you may not think it's bothering you. It is. It is absolutely affecting your nervous system. And it affects the way your brain functions as well, too. You know, and I'll just share even like my own current real life situation right now. For those of you that know, we were forced to move at the last minute. And we, you know, I had been living there for 10 years. My sister moved in a couple of years after I'd been there and literally just dumped all her stuff. My parents moved in a couple of years later and literally just dumped all their stuff. And our home spaces were not cluttered like the actual living spaces where we were. You know, we kept those, you know, decluttered, organized, and everything. But the storage spaces and the garage and every other space possible was just literally stuffed to the gills with stuff. And that is a nightmare that we have been dealing with since we were forced to move. And the amount of money, time, energy, and sanity that I have paid for that has been a very good reminder that it's not a situation that we ever want to be in, whereby we just have amalgamated all of this stuff that no longer serves us, because it is affecting us at that deep level. And it really makes a huge difference, even if it's not in your face and it's in your storage space or whatever, just knowing that that's all there really wears on you after a while. And so just encouraging, you know, everyone. Decluttering is never, well, I actually enjoy it. I think it's fun. But I'm one of those rare people. So if that's something that's like really hard for you or feels really overwhelming and almost like creates a panic attack, even just thinking about it, then there's people out there that you can hire to help you. Or if that's not an option, call in a friend and be like, hey, I really need some support right now to like start going through this stuff and, or even just somebody to be present with me and like help me like decide, do I really need this? And you know, there's so many organizations out there these days that take things for people and families in need. And if it's in good condition, then instead of sitting in your storage, why not let it go and allow it to serve somebody else who really needs it? And then if it's, you know, junk, then just get rid of it in a sustainable way. And, you know, recycling and all of that as well too. So throwing that in there. There's organizations again that will take certain things depending on where you live to be able to help you declutter and go through all of those things. And, you know, don't start with your whole house or the whole storage unit or whatever it is all at once. You know, pick a very small, pick one shelf. You know, a lot of times we have like surfaces and spaces like counter spaces or shelves or whatever. We just toss stuff and then we just leave it there, right? There's always that one space in the home where everything just gets dropped and left, right? So maybe start there, like kind of go through that pile and see, like, you know, is this stuff that's here something that we really need, and or does it have a home and somewhere else where it could be living that it should be put away, so to speak. Okay, let's see. Your bedroom. So this is something we talked about in the first module when we were talking about sleep, which we'll kind of touch on again as well today. But you want to look around your sleeping space, even if it's not like a full-on bedroom, wherever your area is that you are sleeping in, you know, that space especially should be organized, not cluttered, clean, and no electronic or electrical devices. You know, no TVs, you know, just all of these things that give off electromagnetic fields, and also a lot of these like you know, like so many like appliances like TVs and all these different things, they have all these little lights that never go off that stay on. And those are actually really interrupting your natural sleep cycles as well too. And so at the very least, if you have to have your cell phone, you know, in your room, make sure it's not charging while you're sleeping. Make sure it's already charged before you bring it in there. Put it in airplane mode, you know, at the very bare minimum. Eliminating the nighttime EMF exposure and blue light is really foundational to living a vibrant life and having good health. If these EMFs, as we've talked about, they disrupt your body's ability to be able to repair and rejuvenate at a cellular level, which is exactly what you're doing in your sleep cycle, right? And they impede the melatonin production. And we've already talked about in other modules how it actually throws your hormone balance out of whack as well too, and prevents you from being able to go into a deep sleep and then stay in that deep sleep. Okay, so to recap, all personal care and household cleaning items should be non-toxic and environmentally friendly. Now, oh, anything in italics, can't speak today, is what I have added in. That's not in my book, by the way. And so this little note that I put in here, this includes all of your period products. So this topic could be a whole conversation in and of itself. So I'm just going to make a few points here. And if anybody wants to go deeper on this, we can get a conversation going on the Facebook group. That would be amazing. And it's something that we could, you know, just kind of like keep an ongoing chat about as well too. But the best choice these days are what are called period underwear or period panties. And now, not every brand and company is the same. It's very important, and I was not aware of this. You know, when these all first came out, we were like, "Oh, yay!" And I wasn't really looking at the fabrics, the product, like how is it made, what's in it, how is it manufactured, and so on. And so it's really important to look at, you know, the company. And I put one in here that I really, really like. Because I found them when I was postmenopausal. I've never actually used their product, so a disclaimer there. But I've referred it to several clients, and I've heard that they really liked it, and I've actually connected with the company. They're local. They're here in Vancouver, BC, and I've gone through all the reviews. I've like gone through all of their, you know, research and everything. Followed them for a while. before I started recommending them, and I feel really comfortable recommending them. I really like what they're doing. I really love the way that they are creating this product, the ingredients, so to speak, the fabrications that they're using, like everything. And they also have a line for incontinence as well too, and bladder leakage as well, which is really nice. Although that's something, you know, that's also an information and your body telling you that something needs to be addressed, but here's a way to help you support that while you address that as well. So they're called Revol Cares, and the website is getcares.com. So yeah, they're a really awesome company and I recommend them. So now if that's a little bit, just feels a little bit awkward for you, you're not quite ready to go to, you know, take that leap yet into that realm. Although I will say, having like tested and tried pretty much everything out there, that is by far my favorite recommendation for your menstrual cycle these days. There's also, like, you can buy organic cotton pads that clip into your underwear, and then you have like the liners that you put in for the absorbency that you want as well. I don't find those as comfortable, which is why I like the panties so much better, but I know other women who absolutely love those and use those all the time as well too. And those are the best choices because they are sustainable, they are reusable, and they're good for the planet as well as good for you. At the very least, if you're using store-bought pads, then make sure that they're organic, cotton, and non-toxic, and made in a sustainable way. And I notice I'm not recommending tampons here. And this is coming from somebody who basically wore tampons for almost 30 years before I finally understood the damage that was doing to my uterus and to my womb. And so this is why I'm saying this is like a whole separate conversation, but I'm just introducing this little nugget of information and knowledge here for you. So I don't recommend tampons. I mean, if you really need to wear one for certain occasion, you know, that's your choice. And wearing tampons is always still your choice. You know, this is, you do what's best for you, but just know that it is really hard on your body, and it is doing damage to your uterus and your womb when you do choose to wear one. And like, you know, there are occasions where that would warrant, you know, that, but try not to do it on a consistent practice, is what I'm trying to suggest here. Okay, so like I said, feel free to open up this discussion in the Facebook group, because I would, you know, love to just get a discussion going on this, and we can just kind of start like a little forum, you know, in the group, talking about this and going deeper on it. If anybody has any questions after listening to this and wants to know more, post up your questions, and let's get that conversation going as well too. Okay, going on here, all cooking apparatuses and utensils should be non-toxic and safe. Filtration devices should be used for household drinking and bathing water at the very least. Your bedroom should be free of electrical devices, especially cell phones and smartphones, TVs and cordless phones. And, you know, I'm saying even if they're turned off, it's best if you cannot have any of those things in your sleeping space. But like I said, bare minimum, make sure your phone is charged ahead of time, it's not charging in your space, and have it on airplane mode. Okay, moving on. So the next section here, I just want to talk about, you'll kind of see like it's there's no real category, shall we say, of these things that I'm going to be bringing up next here. But these are all just little things that could really make a huge difference in supporting how you live. And so the first one, which I think we did talk about this. And some of these we've already talked about and touched on, so you'll recognize them, and it's just as another little reminder of these. So the first one here is take 3 to 5 deep breaths before beginning to eat any food. This turns your digestion on. And I put here, this tip works into number 8 of the blueprint, which we'd already talked about in the Vibrant Nutrition one. So I think we'd mentioned it in that one as well too, if I remember correctly. So 3 to 5 deep breaths before you eat. This is really important because so many people really don't even stop to think about what they're doing when they sit down to eat, right? Usually we're running around doing a bazillion things, or we're sitting at our desk working, or we, are sitting scrolling on our phones, or we're distracted in one way or another, and then just start putting food in the mouth. But what's happening there is we are really stressing out our bodies because we didn't stop to turn on our digestion. So as we've talked about, and as you know, we have basically two settings in our body. So we have fight or flight, or we have rest and digest. When we're eating, we don't want to be in fight or flight mode because that's where it shuts down our whole digestive system. It makes it impossible to be able to digest food. And so we want to make sure we're in this rest and digest mode. And so as simple as taking 3 to 5 deep breaths really supports the body to be able to just kind of switch gears and go into that particular space. And that is what we are looking for in order to be able to be mindfully present with the food that we're eating, and then allowing our body the space to be able to actually digest and assimilate this food and to utilize it at a really deep cellular level without putting more stress on your body. And this is why so many people feel so tired after they've eaten as well too, is because they don't stop to turn on their digestion. And so their body is not able to process the food, and it's putting all this stress on their body. And then the body just has to eliminate it, in some way. And this puts more stress on all the organs. And so of course the body is tired. And then at that point, there's also not enough energy, and there's not enough nutrients, and there's not enough time and space for the body to actually start doing the rejuvenation, regeneration, and repair work that it needs to be doing as well too. We weren't meant to be digesting 24/7, which is what our modern society has become these days. Most people are literally just digesting food almost their entire lives, and their body doesn't really get to go into these other modes. And so that's what we've been really talking about here in all of these other modules, all of these other practices, all of these other things. It's just really bringing this all together so that we're giving our body everything that it needs to be able to function at its highest level easily, without putting more stress on our bodies and without taking more energy from us, right? And to actually be able to feed the ATP and the mitochondria and to create that energy. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, sauna. Once a week or at least twice a month for at least 20 minutes or up to 40 minutes. Rinse off with a Dr. Bronner's or some other kind of Castile soap in particular. And the reason for that is because the Castile soap helps to remove the toxins that are being eliminated through our body when we are doing this sweat. And it doesn't disrupt our natural biomes so much by doing it with the Castile soap. And then rinsing with cold water afterwards, or as cold as you can handle. And then also being mindful of where you're at in your cycle. If you're in your luteal phase, you don't want to be doing the cold. And I've made a note. Oh yeah, I put that right here. Do not do the cold rinse if you're in your luteal phase, or if you're using the moon cycles and you're in the last quarter moon phase. And so the other option, if you're not saunaing, is to take a 20-minute bath once a week with Epsom salts, or with your favorite bath salts and essential oils combined. And again, doing that cooler rinse afterwards. And what that's doing is allowing your body to be able to really detox on a large, because our body is our biggest organ, right? Like we were just talking about that. If you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your skin because it's going straight into your bloodstream. It's just bypassing this right here, right? So, I know a lot of women who go to any lengths to avoid sweating. And if you are in that midlife phase and hot flashes or warm flushes or night sweats are kind of manifesting for you right now, then the thought of sweating more is, I know it can be a little bit triggering, but just know that if you're in that state, the far infrared sauna is a really good choice for you because the way that it heats up is different than the other types of saunas, and it's different than taking the hot bath as well too, and it won't trigger those hot flashes and night sweats and flushes so much as well too. So the infrared sauna makes a really big difference because it just gently, it kind of mimics being out in the sun and just slowly coming up to a temperature, so to speak. And so I found, even personally, and with a lot of the women I've worked with, we've tested this out, and it really does make a big difference. And so just want to talk about sweat here for a minute as well too. And also sauna is really good for your heart. It's almost like a little bit of a mild exercise. And so there's two different kinds of sweat glands. We have apocrine glands, which are located mostly in the armpits, which we're all aware of, but also in the pubic area and the scalp. And they secrete sweat that contains fats and other organic compounds. Bacteria on the skin interacting with these compounds is what causes body odor. And then also too, I want to just go a little bit further on that. What you are releasing through your body in those sweat glands. So like if you're releasing a lot of processed food or chemicals from skincare, hair care, inhalation, or whatever, then those are the things that are going to trigger the bacteria to create the odors. Otherwise, that's really not a big issue at all. And these glands start to function at puberty, and they also emit hormones and pheromones, which are believed to attract the opposite sex. And this is a big conversation too in the world of bacteria as well, because it's your bacteria on your skin that release a lot of, that make this combination, right, of the pheromones. And when we mask our natural scent through, even through essential oils and other things, then we could potentially be attracting in the wrong people into our lives, because we are not matching that frequency of that pheromone. We're masking it and recreating something else. And so that's something that I always thought was really curious, and I just wanted to throw that out there. So the other type of gland is called the eccrine glands. And these number more than 2 million and are scattered all over our bodies. And this is what are considered the real workhorses when it comes to sweating. These are activated by heat and stress and emotions. And these glands secrete odorless, watery sweat that cools you down as it evaporates on the skin. And then, oh, this is where I made the note here. I prefer far infrared saunas as they're easier to fit into your home, less expensive, easy to install, and do not require plumbing and use minimal amounts of energy. And because they don't heat the air, you can usually stay in them longer too than a regular sauna. And so I give the recommendation of, a bath once a week and a sauna once a week, if you have the luxury of having access to those things and the ability to be able to access those in your life right now. So like personally right now, I don't have access to either a bath or a sauna, which I really miss very, very much. And so, looking at when I, am setting up where I'm transitioning to from this phase of life where I'm at now, I know that those two things are really important to me, and they will absolutely 100% be present in whatever that transition looks like that I'm moving into from here. So I'm really excited for that. Okay, another one that we've already talked about: expose yourself to 10 to 20 minutes of natural sunlight with no sunscreen daily. I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that sunscreens are extremely toxic. Even on the mainstream level, they're talking about how toxic sunscreens are now, and the hormone disruption that it causes, and the thyroid issues that it causes. And so, I kind of talk about it a little bit here in the handout from my book as well too. But bottom line is, I don't know if I'm just trying to think. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I think I mentioned it in this paragraph here somewhere. But what I was going to say, an interesting phenomena about when your biomes are in balance, and when you actually use the food combining principles that I have been teaching and sharing here, you'll stop burning in the sun, because your hormones and your body is coming back into balance. And we have natural protection built into us. We were meant to be outside all the time. We weren't meant to fry in the sun 2 seconds after being out there. And so we do have natural resiliency. But if we are burning really quickly and fast and easily in the sun, that's also information. it's an indication that there is an imbalance at the biome level, and that there is disharmony there, and that there's something that needs to be brought back into harmony. And this doesn't just happen overnight. For sure, this is a process. It's something that I noticed after a few years. And at this stage of my life, the only time that I apply even like a natural, sunscreen that has like no chemicals in it that I would literally eat, um, is when I was in Thailand and I was out in the boat. I was like, okay, because everything is enhanced and the reflection is just like really intense out there. But that's literally the only time in probably the last like 15 years that I have used sunscreen, even in Costa Rica, when I'm in Costa Rica all the time. I used to teach in Costa Rica every winter for about 3 months, and I would be living there. No sunscreen, and I never got bit by bugs either. Everybody else would be getting eaten alive, and I didn't get any bites. I didn't get burned, and everybody was like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "It's the way I eat, honestly, and the way I live." And all of my practices combined together that really have brought this harmony back into our bodies, to be, because this is the way that we were naturally intended to be able to live in these natural environments, right? Because we are nature. Okay, we had a little glitch there where apparently I froze. So we're gonna try that again. So I was talking about my experience of being in Costa Rica and not needing sunscreen and not getting eaten alive by bugs while everybody else was getting burned and bitten and eat. Oh my gosh, like really bit up. And looking at me going like, what is going on here? And that really was a testimony to the way that I eat and the way that I live and all of these things that I'm sharing with you. Like, this is how our bodies were naturally meant to be. We are nature. We are connected. And when we tap into the sun's frequencies first thing in the morning, when we combine our foods in a way that supports all of our biomes, and then that way our bodies get to support us to thrive in every way, including not getting burned by the sun and not getting eaten alive by bugs, because that's not our natural state. We've just become so far removed because of this modern lifestyle, from that. And I don't know if the part where I said the only time that I did use sunscreen recently was when I was in Thailand and I was out on a boat on the water and everything was being reflected back up. And I do have a really good natural sunscreen that a friend of mine makes, and I literally would eat it. And any other time, it's important to know too, like we have a lot of things available to us that have like even natural sun protection in them. So like coconut oil, for example, is a great natural sunscreen. If you want to call it an SPF, it's like an SPF like 4. Almond oil is actually another really good one as well too. And so again, this is like a whole other discussion that we can get into. But just know that there's so many options that we have out here, and that this is information. If you are getting burned in the sun, if you are getting eaten alive by bugs, and any time that you try to spend outside is miserable in that way, then that's your body telling you that there's a disruption and that the biomes are out of harmony, and that there needs to be some attention paid to that. And it's not going to necessarily happen and change overnight, but over time, once you begin to incorporate all of these practices, then your body will come back to that place of coherence and being connected to the frequencies of the planet in a way that really supports you to thrive. So I hope that makes sense at this point. Okay, so moving on to number 4. Walk 1 to 3 times a week outdoors in nature for a minimum of 30 minutes. So we really talked about this in our mindful movement segment that we were talking about that was our last module, I believe, was the mindful movement one. And so we were really talking about that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there. And then number 5 was drink filtered water, wash all your food in it, cook with it for protection from parasites and toxic chemicals. And this supports number 4 of the 10-step blueprint. Install your shower and tap filters in the bathrooms to be able to remove the chlorine. We talked about the noxious gas. and the heavy metals. And then these days too, this is when I wrote this book, this wasn't an issue, but these days there's actual like drugs, like people's medications are all in the water systems as well, in city waters because of the way, and they are not pulling these out. So people are on all these different types of prescription medications or taking all of these meds or using topical treatments or whatever, and it's all in the water if you're on city water. So that's something that's really a big issue these days as well too. So all more reason why. Oh yeah, I put here, it's contaminated with pharmaceuticals and chemicals. So I guess it was starting to be a problem then. So again, this is why water filtration should be your number one area that you look at. And this is something that I encourage everybody to sit down together as a family and look at, right? Because it affects everybody in the family. And it's, definitely a little bit of an investment. Although the system that Robin has introduced me to is one of the best priced systems that I've seen in like forever. It can still be an investment. So this is something to sit down and talk about with the family. Like, why is this important? Why do we need to do this? How can it support us? And, is there something maybe in our house that we could declutter that we don't need, that we could sell to be able to use that money to buy the filtration system that's going to support all of us to be able to have this beautiful health and to be able to thrive? Or can we make a commitment as a family, or we sell something and we make a commitment as a family to start, putting all the loose change in the jar, setting aside a little bit here, a little bit there, and contribute towards a fund for this filtration system. Because this is really, really important. Like I said, if you're stuck in the city and you are on city water, that is the number one zapper of your vitality and your health. And so really encouraging you to look at that as a priority and see how you can make that change with the family and, just support everybody on that level. Okay, number 5. This is one here that a lot of people don't really stop and think about either. It is your toothpaste, right? I had the honor and privilege of meeting Dr. Jerry Curatola. Gosh, probably it was like about 2012, I think it was. And I had just had a bunch of the last of my amalgam fillings removed. Finally found somebody who would do it, as my teeth were in really bad shape. It was literally the fillings were like holding my teeth together, so nobody wanted to touch them at that point. I finally found this amazing local dentist in San Jose, California, who is no longer able to practice. She was threatened that if she continued to practice that way, she would lose her license. So unfortunately, she does not practice like this anymore. But back then, she was using Ayurveda and all of these holistic dentistry practices. And she was able to remove all those amalgams for me in a safe way and help me save my teeth. But I had this one tooth that a few months later was giving me a problem, and we tested it and it registered as dead, shall we say. And I was like, I want to regenerate this tooth. I know I can bring it back to life. And she was like, okay. She's like, how much time do you need? And I said, okay, is 60 days too long to do this? And she's like, no, we should be okay in 60 days. But she's like, the deal is in 60 days, you come back, we retest. And if it's not alive again, then we're going to have to deal with that. And I was like, okay, deal. Because I knew I was going to regenerate that tooth no matter what. So, and I actually have information. It's from an old blog post. I don't have it posted anywhere right now, but I do have the information. So if anybody's interested, reach out to me through the Facebook group, or remind me, and I will actually post this up. But there's a great book out there. I think his last name is Nagel. Can't remember his first name. And it talks about, Weston Price Foundation has all of this information as well too. And so I went through them, found this book. And there's a specific protocol in there, which involves eating raw meat and raw egg yolk and raw honey. And then I created all my own little things as well too. And of course I was using supplementation from the professional line that I use. to be able to work with this. And I was about almost 3 weeks in, and I flew to Utah for a training and a conference for this professional line that I use of supplementation and nutritional therapies, as I call them, because they're so different than anything else out there. They're not really a supplement in any way, shape, or form. And they're work with frequency, and they're amazing. It's the Systemic Formulas and Alimentum, if you've heard me talk about them. And this is that company is Doc Wheelwright's legacy, his herbal legacy, and his grandson Shane is the one who is now running that company and creating all of the new Alimentum Lab products that are all biome based. And he's one of the leading biome researchers in the world today. So anyways, I went for a training there and I met Dr. Jerry. And I told him about my teeth and what had been going on and everything. And this was before his toothpaste Revitin was actually fully launched. It was still in its beta trials. And he gave me a bunch of tubes, like little sample tubes like this big. And he was like, here, he's like, take these and start putting that on your tooth right away, like right now, and do it like 6-8 times a day for a couple of days, and then back off to like 3 times a day and whatever. And he's like, with everything else that you're doing, your tooth is going to be totally fine when you go back and get it retested. And I was like, awesome, thank you. And sure enough, I went back at the end of the 60 days and that tooth was totally alive and vibrant, and she was in awe. And I shared with her about the toothpaste and everything that I had done. And she was like so excited to have that information as well too. But I just share this story to actually show you that it is absolutely entirely possible. Like, cavities and all of these things are, again, information. There's something going on in your body and you can regenerate your own teeth. It's totally possible. Like I said, the Weston Price Foundation has a ton of information about this. I'm going to share the information that I've collected and share this book where it talks about how you can totally like restore your teeth, and share the link and everything in the group. So again, if I forget, please remind me so that I do that, and I'll share it. I'm actually going to share it on the comments for the replay for this so that everybody can find it, and we'll keep all of this stuff that we're talking about together here. And so the only toothpaste that I recommend is Revitin toothpaste. It is the only natural toothpaste out there that will not disrupt your oral microbiome. Every other natural toothpaste and everything else out there will disrupt even your oral biome. And that's a big problem, because we've been trained to think that plaque is bad in our mouth and that it's wrong, right? It's not. There is healthy plaque and there is unhealthy plaque. And so we want the healthy plaque to be there. And when you go to the dentist like every 6 months and they strip all of that off of there, you are exposing your entire mouth with no protection. And you've just stripped away all of your natural defenses and totally set your mouth up for trouble and for issues. And so this was all so fascinating to me when I started learning about this, and I really wanted to just highlight that for all of you today, because that's a really big one. And so many, natural toothpaste, and there's even so many like homemade, toothpaste recipes and whatnot out there. And so it's really important to understand what ingredients can be harmful and what ingredients are supportive. So I totally recommend the Revitin toothpaste. They'll be having some Christmas sales coming up. Here in Canada, we pay a lot for shipping to get it shipped to us. So we literally just do an order pretty much once a year and have it shipped to us. And we wait for a sale and we do it at that time. And so, and he's also just introduced a new flavor as well too. So, and I was going to say something else here. Oh, yes, a really cool thing too is like if you follow him on Instagram, tons of education and information there. Like he's just always putting out information. Like right now he's on fire. He is just like teaching so much. It's just insane what he's sharing. So I highly recommend following Dr. Jerry Curatola. And again, I'll post up the link once we have the replay up in the comments, because he has so much knowledge that he's sharing on Instagram over there. His website, there's blogs. If you get on the newsletter, tons of valuable information as well too. And then you'll get notified of the sales when they're coming up so that you can, take advantage of those. And a little tip that he shared with me and taught me that I don't think is anywhere out there and it's not really talked about is to not, well, first of all, with Revitin, you're only using a very small amount. Like I literally use like half of my pinky nail for like one brushing, and that's it. And even that's a lot, but I do that because it helps me because I've had so much trauma in my mouth and issues and whatnot with my teeth. It supports me to be able to like really support my teeth at that level. And I do twice a day. And you don't want to, well, first of all, you're not going to have all this excess toothpaste floating around in your mouth and all this foam and all this, chemicals and crap where it says like toxic, do not swallow. So I actually just, I don't spit it all out. I just, whatever is left in my, and there's usually not a whole lot left in my mouth at that point. And so I don't spit and I don't rinse. And I just go on with the rest of my day. And there's a little bit there, then I'll swallow a little bit and it's like all good. It's actually good for your bacteria, for your microbiomes. And so I literally cannot recommend this toothpaste enough. And honestly, I've looked into so many others and he gave me a really good education on ingredients. And I haven't found another toothpaste that actually doesn't have harmful ingredients in it at some level, in some way. And so I just wanted to share that all with you because I think that's like an incredible gift is to be able to, really support our oral microbiomes. That is our first line of defense. And, especially as we age, as our hormones start to change, a lot of teeth issues come up for midlife women as well too. And especially, as we start to age and head into the crone phase also. If you really want to have all of your teeth and be healthy all the way up until, the end of your time here on this planet, on this beautiful earth, then I recommend Revitin. And it works for pets as well. My sister has used it successfully with senior dogs with a lot that used to cost a lot of money for dentistry, vet dentistry all the time, which again is totally disrupting the natural, balance of the mouth. And so, you can use that with your pets as well too. So, yeah, just wanted to share that all. Okay, so that's my little toothpaste rant. And next, we're going to talk about green plants. It's really important to keep plants in your rooms or in your home for air quality. And even NASA has created a list of the best household plants to improve your air quality. They really help produce oxygen and they absorb contaminants like benzene and formaldehyde, which are known carcinogens, right? And research has shown that plant filtered rooms have 50 to 60% less airborne microbes like mold spores and harmful bacteria. And then there's a list of the plants here that can really support us. So spider plants, peace lilies, snake plants, or another name for that is mother-in-law's tongue, elephant ears, weeping figs, rubber plants, bamboo plants, or reed palm. So these are some of the most popular ones here. And, depending on what pets or animals you have in the house too, also being mindful of which ones are toxic to pets and keeping them either out of reach or choosing out of the variety as well too. But the bottom line is just having, even a few small plants, even in my tiny little trailer. I have my little succulent sitting on my kitchen counter, taking up valuable space, but it has its spot there and that's its home. And so it's important. And that's something so simple, right? Like just keep a little tiny plant in each room of the home to help improve air quality, especially the bedroom. It's really, really crucial to have a little plant in the bedroom. And if you are not a green thumb or, you suck at remembering to water your plants or any of that, then just get ones that like a succulent that doesn't need a whole lot of water. And there's ones that do really well in less sun, less light as well too. So just get the right plant that's going to fit your level of commitment to caring for this plant. Okay, number 7 is one of my favorites. Walking with bare feet on natural ground or earth 2 times a week for 5 to 10 minutes. And this dispels stored electrical current, much as a ground wire carries away excess electrical current. So this is called earthing. And this really helps us to reduce and eliminate a lot of this EMF toxicity that we're building up and that we're exposed to on a, basically almost 24/7 level in our modern world today. And so this is so important. And this is why I believe this was in module 1, where I was talking about this as well too. Combining this with your morning practice of, greeting the sun and looking at the sun and getting that first morning frequency and light and those codes, through our eyes. And if we're standing barefoot on the ground at the same time, then wow, like that's, as above, so below, right? So we're bringing in all the good stuff, dispelling all the negative energy. And if you have or are inclined to anxiety or panic attacks or anything, this is one of the best ways to literally just like stop it in its tracks, is to go and stand outside bare feet on earth, not on pavement. You can just find a tiny little patch of grass, something, but standing on natural ground. Now, if you are in a climate where it's cold and there's tons of snow on the ground and whatnot at certain times of the year, this is where putting your hands on a tree really comes into play as well too. It can really support us in a very similar way and to help us ground also too. So if putting your bare feet on the ground is not an option, then hands on a tree. And again, first thing in the morning, just leaning on a tree, hugging a tree, and just greeting our grandfather sun and absorbing all of those codes, those light codes, and taking in those frequencies and just reconnecting ourselves to the frequencies that support us to thrive instead of these, EMF and these toxic frequencies that are literally just jarring to our system on a regular basis. And so that's something that is totally free and pretty easy to do and doesn't take up a lot of time as well. So, I hope you're beginning to see, yes, some things like a filtration system or whatever, that's going to take a bit more work and it's going to cost a bit more money. But standing outside, greeting the sun, putting your bare feet on the earth, hugging a tree, that doesn't cost you anything, right? But it gives you back so much and it helps so much. And it really can be that simple. And I always get that look, from my clients, so many of my one-on-one clients when I'm working with them. And I'm like sharing this and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to work on this week. And they're just looking at me like, what? It's that easy? It's like, yeah, it can be that easy and it can be that simple, because that is really where we are held the most in this higher frequency, is when we are tapped back in to the frequency of the planet and everything around us. And so number 8 is something that we definitely want to avoid, which is microwaves and microwave food. And it totally fits into what we were talking about here with frequency and energy. Microwaves literally rob your food of all of its nutrients. And oftentimes too, it can be undercooked or unevenly cooked. And this creates parasite environment as well too. So it can harm you in so many different ways. So we are, looking at how to support all of the pathogens in our body so that we have this natural balance and symbiotic relationship whereby the ones that support us to thrive are the ones that take up the most space, right, in our bodies. And so microwave food just really goes against everything that we've been talking about. And there's a little note in here talking about some research that Hans Hertel, he was one of the first scientists to conduct studies on microwave food. So talking about that in there and showing what it did to the white blood cells and to the lymphocytes. And I put a little note in here as well, because I mean, one of the biggest things that I hear often, I don't hear it that much anymore because most people know how, toxic and dangerous a microwave is. And just having one in your home is so detrimental to your environment as well too, let alone using it. But one of the biggest ones was, oh, well, it defrosts food so quickly, or I forgot to take something out for dinner tonight and I really need to defrost this meat, or I need to do this quickly or whatever. So a really side note here is, if you have a pressure cooker or an Instant Pot or another, brand like that, they're amazing. It's a modern device that I could not live without, to be honest with you. It just saves me all the time. Ours is just going like 24/7. And even in my little trailer, you know, I unplug everything else. I'll unplug the heater to run my Instant Pot because it's just so amazing. And it really defrosts like food really quickly, and it defrosts like so you can put meals or what I've learned is a little hack actually. And I was talking about this on my Thriving Hormones chat live yesterday on Instagram, which is now also on my I Live Vibrantly page on Facebook. And if you put like, you know, because we're usually using like a 1 pound, you know, average size of ground meat or stewing meat or whatever, right? Put your trivet in your Instant Pot or whatever brand you have, put your cup of water in underneath, seal the lid, do the manual pressure. It usually only takes, depending on the cut and the way it's packaged, like some of the ones we get are completely like flat packaged, and those ones you don't need to put in as long, like 2 minutes max is all you need on those. If you have like a traditional butcher's wrap where it's like thicker, then you want like 3 to 4 minutes pressure on that, and it doesn't cook the meat. Like the top, like the outside will look a little bit like cooked, but it's not. And then you just open it up and it's all defrosted inside and it's all still raw, and you can, you know, take it out, cook it, you know, on the stove or however you want to do it. But what I was talking about yesterday is that's one of my favorite hacks. Like I literally purposely don't take food out of the freezer anymore because, or especially meats when I'm about to prepare food, because I love doing it this way, because then I have this beautiful rich broth, right? That was like the defrost, like the water that was in there and then the defrosting liquid. And you have the fat and you have some of the nutrients that have run into this broth here. And so what I tend to do with that is put that back into the meal when I'm cooking it as the flavoring, especially if you're making soups or stews or anything like that. And so that's my little hack there. I just wanted to share that. And it like just makes it super easy to be able to, you know, defrost food from frozen. One of my favorites and what I'm going to be doing when I get home, pardon me 1 second here. Just gotta make sure I put this, yeah, heater on the right temperature. One of the things I'm going to be doing when I get home tonight is making a chicken for the whole family. My like little fake rotisserie chicken. So what I do is I take a whole chicken size that'll fit into my Instant Pot. Again, put the water on the bottom, put the trivet in, seal the lid. For a whole chicken in my 6 quart, it takes about anywhere from about 45 to 50 minutes, depending on the size of the chicken. On manual pressure, and then I let it naturally release, and then I will either melt down some ghee or some tallow, put some herbs and seasoning, like we like Cajun spice, or right now the only seasoning like blend that I have is an Italian spice, so we've been using that. But herbs de Provence is another favorite one as well too. So you just kind of melt down your fat, either the ghee or the tallow, put a little bit of salt, whatever you want for like herbs or whatever, and then brush your chicken, you know, while it's still hot to keep that liquid and keep it soft. And then I stick it under the, I have my little air fryer oven, which I have in storage, and then I literally have to go get it, pull it out, unplug everything in the trailer, takes up the whole top of my stove, plug it in, but it's so worth it. And then I use the broiler, and I just brown the chicken on one side, flip it over, brown it on the other side, and you have the most amazing like rotisserie style chicken. And you literally spend 10 minutes with that chicken. And that's it. And that was from frozen. So, and the whole process takes, I would say, coming up to pressure and everything, like probably no more than 2 hours max, depending on, you know, how fast your pressure cooker comes up to pressure and releases and whatnot in your oven and all of that. But you can literally have this whole meal, like, and you only put 10 minutes into it. So just expounding the joys of an electric pressure cooker in that way. Okay, one more here that I really want to highlight as well is the mini rebounder. So this is such a crucial piece, and I don't think I've talked a whole lot about this one. But every household should have a mini rebounder or a trampoline in their home. Or if you have the space, a full-size trampoline outside, because this is one of the most amazing things for children as well as for adults, because our lymphatic systems is one of the only systems in our bodies that doesn't have its own movement built into it. We have to actually move it. And rebounding is one of the best ways to actually move the lymphatic system, and it's the easiest way to do it as well too, with the least amount of time commitment and effort also. And so being able to just like, you know, even just stand there. And this is what the beauty of it too, is you can have, you know, even if you have injuries or your mobility is limited at this point in time, this is where the rebounder really comes in. You can get them, or, you know, with like the safety railing around them as well too, even for the mini home ones. Or, you know, you can put it near something where you have something to be able to be stable on or whatever, if you need that in the beginning. But this is like, no matter what age you are, even seniors, this is so important for seniors. You know, and that's something that I really miss having with my mom right now, is the rebounder to really support her, to keep her mobility. And this is something, like I said, it's supporting your lymphatic system, it's oxygenating the body, and it's one of the movements that we are lacking in our modern lifestyles today. And so along with what I was introducing through Tony Riddle's program about reconnecting with how our bodies were actually made and to be, you know, to function and to move, a rebounder is something, if you keep up that practice, that's something that will support you to stay mobile your whole entire life, no matter what age you are, as long as you are here on this planet. And to me, that's huge. You know, like that's one of the biggest issues with elderly people, is they start to lose balance, they fall, they need walkers, they need canes. You know, it's just, it's so sad. Like the whole vitality of life is gone at that point, or they're sitting around, you know, on these motorized vehicles, which can have their place, but at the same time, there's, you know, it's not necessary. That is not the way we are meant to be aging, is my point. We can still be just as active, just as flexible, just as mobile at 100, 105 as we are when we're in our 20s. And so the rebounder is one of those things that will support that. So that's a really, really important one. And I really hope that, you know, you will take this into consideration and really look at bringing that into, and you can often get them, people are selling them, you know, because so many people are like, oh yeah, it's good for me. And then they buy and then it just sits there, and then they sell them on Marketplace for like a really reasonable price. And I've even seen some like in really good shape, and people are like, free, just come and pick it up. Just like, get it out of here. It's taking up space. You know, and you can get ones that'll like fit under your bed, or you can stand it up, or the legs fold down so that, you know, it's not taking up a massive amount of space as well too. So just really encouraging you. So it boosts immune function, great for skeletal system and increasing bone mass. Really, really important for midlife women. Helps improve digestion, more than twice as effective as running without all the extra stress on your ankles and knees. It increases endurance on a cellular level by stimulating mitochondrial production, and that's the responsible for energy in our bodies. Helps improve balance by stimulating the vestibule in the middle ear, and it helps circulate oxygen, as I said, to increase energy. And it's a whole body exercise, and improves muscle tone as well. And some sources claim that the unique motion of rebounding can also help support thyroid and adrenal. And so based on what we've learned about our estrobolomes and the hormone hierarchy, you know, with the oxytocin and all of these things, absolutely rebounding can support your thyroid and adrenal cortisol levels, and support your hormone balance as well too. And it's really hard to be in a bad mood when you're jumping up and down on a rebounder as well too. So, you know, that really supports the oxytocin too. Okay, moving on to number 10, getting plenty of deep, restful sleep. And we've talked about this so much. We've talked about how to support ourselves to do that, why it's important. And so all I'm going to add in here is just that reminder that as women, our bodies actually need, for the most part, 8 to 10 hours sleep a night, especially in the dark seasons and the cold seasons, which is what we're heading into now. And so we should not feel shame or guilt for sleeping longer than 8 hours. Or, we should not be, what's the word I'm looking for, cheating ourselves with only like 6 or 7 hours. Because at that point, we're doing ourselves such a huge disservice. We cannot be healthy and vibrant at every level and function at our highest frequency if we are not getting enough sleep, period, full stop. It's really important, like we talked about in the first module, to create that sleep environment that supports that deep, healthy sleep so that you're not, just waking up all the time. And this is something that I see a lot of with women in midlife is insomnia kicks in. Or you're waking up every couple of hours, or you're having night sweats, or just like insane hot flashes that are just keeping you up. Like all of these things that could potentially be disrupting your sleep is information again, telling you that there is something that is out of balance and harmony in your body and it needs attention, and how we can bring that back into balance and harmony. And that's everything that we've been talking about here. And that's why we're covering like all of these areas, all 4 pillars. So it's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. It's not just one of those things by itself. And that's where the magic is when we get to put all of the elements together and really sink into what's going to support you to thrive at your highest. Number 11, have fun. Surround yourself with things and people that add to your positive and peaceful well-being. Laugh with yourself and friends. Forgive yourself and others. That's so huge. And for myself, that's a really big one because I tend to be too serious all the time. Like I get so caught up in like just the seriousness of everything. And I have to remind myself to just laugh sometimes, or, to just laugh at myself and not get all frustrated with myself when it comes to certain things. So just a reminder to all of us, it's important to have fun and to laugh. And I really love, I have the Shani Nicholas app. And there was a little prompt, a reminder based on an astrological shift that happened yesterday that said to bring the muse back into your amusement for your day. And to make sure that you are playing just as hard as you are working. And I just thought that was such a beautiful reminder. So I'm leaving you all with that one. And then the last one, take time to notice the beauty in what surrounds you. Life is precious. Take time to notice and enjoy the moments. Right? And isn't that everything that we've been talking about? Being present, being in your body, being in the moment, not multitasking, not thinking about something else while we're doing something else, just being fully immersed and present in whatever it is that we're doing, so that we're doing it mindfully and giving our full self to it. And that includes being with ourselves, right? And giving ourselves that space, that stillness, that time to be able to hear the messages that are coming through from our intuition, from our divine self, from spirit, from God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But we need to have that space. And I'm going to say it again, it seems so counterintuitive that when we're so busy to actually stop and be still, because we tend to equate stillness with unproductiveness, right? And not accomplishing anything. I know that's where I would always go with it. But what we need to realize is that in stillness, there is so much happening. It's not a non-productive state. It's a productive state that really supports us at a deep, deep level. It supports us at a cellular level, supports us at a deep heart level, at a soul level, just at every level, to be able to thrive and be at that super high frequency. And even if it's just 5 minutes, it makes all the difference. So I just want to encourage you and leave you with that. And so that brings us pretty much to the end of our sacred lifestyle discussion for today. And I put a little note in here. I'm still working on the resources list. If you were in the spring module, you heard I was still working on it then. And as most of you know, life took an interesting twist. And so there's been a gap where I haven't been able to work on it. And I will be coming back to that shortly. But that's why I want to encourage all of you to, like, let's use the comments in this replay when it gets posted up. I'm going to start posting up stuff in there in the comments. And if you have any like resources, Robin, maybe you can put the link to the filtration in the comments again, so we have it all in this chain. I'm going to put the link in there for the Norwex cleaning cloths that I've already mentioned that are one of my favorite non-toxic sustainable ways to be able to do house cleaning that just makes it so fast and easy. Oh my goodness, it also just brings the joy back to cleaning your home, let me just say. And anything else that you use that makes your life more enjoyable, more stress-free, makes your home less of a cluttered space or less of a toxic space, so to speak. So let's post up all of these things, and then I'll be checking out all of these different things and potentially adding them all to this incredible resource list that will continue to grow, obviously. But I want to have a little bit of a foundation to get it going. And like I said, I have just bits and pieces of it everywhere. So I just need to like, I have a moment where I have some Wi-Fi for a solid period of time and nothing else that needs to be done in that moment to be able to just compile it all. And I have the dear blessing of Robin, who is helping me with a lot of these things as well too. And so looking forward to getting that to you. And but that's the beauty of being here in this group is, you know, you have all of this and you'll continue to have all of this. And as we grow this resource list and we grow, you know, like all of this, you all get to be a part of it. And so I just really want to encourage everybody to continue to be present and to participate. I know we're heading into a busy time of year for everybody, but you know, use this as part of your self-care, even if it's just coming into the group and posting a comment or a share or a win or something, or a picture of your meal and be like, oh, look, I have microgreens in my meal, you know, like this is a safe space for us all to witness each other. That's really the most important thing. Like, I think that's one of the most valuable gifts that we can give to each other, especially in camaraderie, community, and in friendship and in sisterhood, is to be able to hold the safe space of not judging, not trying to fix, not trying to provide the solution, but just witnessing without judgment. And I think that's the most incredible gift we can all give to each other. And I hope that's something that we all can continue to share and utilize this space for in that way, and know that we are safe to come back here at any time. And if you need support, this is a place to ask for it. We are all here for each other in every step of this way as we, you know, work towards increasing the vibrancy in our lives and raising our frequencies and coming back into coherence and balance and harmony. And so on that note, your love missions for module 4 are to start using these noticing exercises that we used in the beginning without judgment, just come from a place of curiosity. Start prioritizing where you think is most important to make changes. Make it a family affair. Like I said, involve your children, involve your partner, like whatever. Like this is about everybody coming together and understanding and making choices together. Choose simple things, you know, like standing barefoot on the ground, hugging a tree, adding a plant to a room. Simple things, right? Breathing before you start to eat, turn on your digestion. So these are little things and they don't take a whole lot, and they can relieve that overwhelm of, oh my God, I got to start doing all of these things, right? Ask for the support you need, especially in the decluttering area if that's overwhelming. A cluttered home equals a cluttered brain and anxious nervous system, whether you think you feel it or not. And I'm going to leave you on that note. And so I'm going to open it up. Are there any questions or comments about what we have talked about today? I know I opened a lot of cans of worms, so to speak. throwing bits and pieces of things out there. But like I said, if you have like a bigger question like that, you can throw it out here right now, but we can also talk about it. I'd like to like get chains going in the group so we can really involve everybody and have like a bigger discussion, about a lot of these things. We're just opening up the floor now, right now to Robin, Josiah, if you have anything to add or ask.
Yeah, I thought that was wonderful. And I already started like a chain about the teeth healing stuff. I'd really love to dive deeper into that. Not that like I have time to read a book or anything like right now, but I still like that's really important to me. I would really love that information to dive into.
Okay. Yeah, and his book is really thin. It's just like it's a really thin one. And what I'll do is it's one of my old blog posts, and I have the information I know somewhere in my file because I just shared it with somebody recently who had a root canal infection. So I will just kind of do a copy and paste and see if I can actually put it up as a post. If it doesn't fit that way, then I'll just put it into like a document and I'll upload it into the files here, and then I'll tag it in that chain for everybody as well too. Anything else? Was there anything that I missed because I don't have the comments turned on here during the thing. Was there anything I missed in there?
Just say I had asked about how does Castile soap do that? Maybe you were talking about how it was so much more gentle on your microbiome, but maybe that it's still clean.
Oh, because I was talking about using the Castile, yeah, because the Castile soap will actually, because when the toxins come out of our body, they're more like in an oil, like we were talking of like the specific type of detox that comes out through the sweat is kind of an oil based. And so it literally forms like a film on the body. And you can kind of feel that sometimes, after you do like a detox in a sauna or a bath or something like that, you can kind of feel that film. So that's why you always want to rinse off afterwards. And this is something I haven't dived into more in recent years. So I might be something I take a deeper look into. My understanding, and if I remember correctly, is that Castile soap will help take that film off, but because of the components in the Castile soap, that's why I always recommended the baby one too, I think, if I remember correctly. It doesn't actually strip all the microbiome off either. And then these days, I use apple cider vinegar. I use a half apple cider vinegar with the raw apple cider vinegar with the live mother culture in it, and half like good clean water as a rinse, taking a shower. And I actually, like, after the sauna, I started using that, and I found that vinegar wash actually takes the film off really nicely, and also just kind of re-inoculates the pH balance, the microbiome on our skin. My brain is so dead these days. Sorry, everybody. That's how you can tell I'm tired. My words are like not coming, but that's what I was trying to say. So the vinegar water rinse, you can use that as a replacement for the Castile soap. Will actually take the toxic film that you've released off of the skin without disrupting your natural biome on your skin. And if you're using the vinegar rinse, it will actually help rejuvenate that and help it to stay in a really good cultured place, if that makes any sense. Okay. So let's see here. We've still got 6 minutes. If anybody has anything else, or was there anything else in the questions that came up in the comments?
I had mentioned that Angela would have loved to hear about the sunscreen. She recently made that choice for her family and at least the kids who will listen to her about it. And she wanted to for a while, but her husband wouldn't shift until just recently. heard some surfer dude talking about how healing the sun was and how he didn't wear sunscreen. And then her husband is now willing to not use the sunscreen.
Oh,
So she
beautiful.
would have loved to hear that part of the conversation. And then Josiah said that the toothpaste has helped her so much and that she never knew about the plaque, like taking that and then it hurting your teeth because you're taking that.
Yeah.
And then she said, wow, that helps with pets. Wild.
Yeah. Yeah, modern day dentistry is another realm that basically puts us at risk and destroys our oral microbiome, and actually helps destroy our teeth as we age as well too. That whole idea of going to the dentist every 6 months and having your teeth cleaned is like the most horrific thing that you could be doing for your body and for your teeth. And I really do recommend Dr. Jerry Curatola. Like I said, he's just such a wealth of information and education, and he's just on fire on Instagram these days. He's been cracking me up. I've known him for many, many years, and I know his brother, who's a cardiologist in Silicon Valley, and his brother actually, because I used to live there, his brother actually brought me into the hospital to speak to his patients about nutrition and teach them the 5+5 and the food combining, because he was so blown away by what I was teaching and what I was sharing. And he was like, my patients need to hear this. So he like rented the auditorium in the hospital and had me come in and do a whole presentation for everybody one night, which was really cool. And that was a lot of fun. And again, everybody was like so just blown away, you know, by how making simple little tweaks, right? It's not like you have to go out and change everything, but just by making a little tweak here, like, you know, even eating a food at a different time of day or not eating it with something else, how that in itself can make all the difference in how you feel in your body and how you live your life. So, alrighty then. Well, I guess that we can pretty much wrap this up. I think it's 3 minutes, but we're good. And if everybody has their questions answered, I am finished.